This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 4th day of April in the year 2023. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The government of Guyana is looking to strengthen its local content policy to prevent foreign companies from using loopholes in the existing legislation to bypass the local content requirements. At the opening of a local content summit this morning, Vice President Bar Jagdio admitted that the government is aware that there are a number of foreign companies that are using various tactics to bypass the Local Content Act. He said through a consultative process, the government intends to assess the loopholes in an effort to strengthen the local content legislation. Under the Local Content Act, it is a requirement that 51% of a company be owned by Guyanese. But according to the Vice President, foreign companies are creating joint ventures with local companies to merely achieve the 51%, much to the detriment of local stakeholders.
If they establish a joint venture, the joint venture has very little assets. So the Guyanese would have 51% and the foreign company 49%. But the capital is then put in as a loan to the company. The equipment is often put in as a leasing arrangement. So you have to pay from the proceeds, gross income, all of those things before you have enough profit to declare a dividend. So they effectively get, and often it's done at inflated rates. So they cream the bulk of gross income before dividend is declared from net income.
A local content certificate issued to a Guyanese company also paves the way for that company to receive preferential treatment in the award of contracts by the oil companies and their subcontractors. The legislation covers 40 areas, but according to Vice President Jagdio, the area related to Guyanese ownership requirement is also being bypassed by some oil companies and their subcontractors.
We've seen some of the forestier contractors particularly outsourcing some of the activities because their reporting relationship is not strong enough, outsourcing a lot of the areas that are carved out already for Guyanese in the legislation.
He said that while the mandatory 45-day payment arrangement is working in favor of local businesses, there is room for improvement, and the government will host consultations to address possible amendments to the Local Content Act. Mr. Jagdio also said the government has learned a lot since the passage of the legislation. He said the administration will be working with all stakeholders to strengthen the local content framework. According to the Vice President, the government has been working to strike a balance to safeguard the investments of both international and local investors, even as it boosts the capacity of Guyanese in the sector. He, however, warned Guyanese against taking extreme positions.
The same people who argue and say more should come to Guyana, then they also want no opportunity to come to Guyana by shutting down the industries. And so we're not going to succumb to that. But you also need, I've been a strong advocate that people need to speak up and join that debate, because if we allow the fringe to succeed in this debate, it harms all of us and all of our interests. And therefore, we must collectively raise our voices, not in support of the government, but in support of analytical views being reasoned views.
The Local Content Summit was organized by MBW Energy Support Services with support from the Government of Guyana. It is being held under the theme Sustaining Supplier Development Through Local Content Partnerships.
It's been a long time coming. Overdue, some might say. But now that it's here, it will change life forever. And it is here to stay. The future is now. Transforming Guyana into the 21st century. Introducing GTT Fiber. Experience internet connectivity like never before. speeds you deserve at prices you can afford from a name you can trust. Sign up today. GTT Fiber is here. GTT. Together, we rise faster.
At Giftland Office Max, we're all about customer satisfaction. Whether it's clothing and shoes for the ladies, gents, and kids, or for the latest electronics or hardware appliance, we're always thinking of satisfying you, our dear customers. Now you can shop online at www.giftlandofficemax.com or visit us at the Giftland Mall, where we're happy to serve each and every one of you.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors that me crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Buster, bust the flavors. Buster, bust the flavors.
Strong and solid in countries far and wide. New India Assurance, we're standing by your side. Golden service, half a century and more. New India Assurance, our policies are secure. From the heart of India, we serve these islands. The strength that you can trust, you're safe when you come to New India Assurance Company. Assurance when you need it most.
For your home, motor or business insurance, visit New India Guyana office, 58 Brickdam next to Star Computers. Telephone 2260-415-7. Comfortable parking available.
Let's tell you now that the government has shut down calls by the opposition and civil society groups for consultations on the draft model production sharing agreements to be extended. The Vice President said there will be no extension on the consultations. When it made the draft PSAs for both the deep water and shallow water blocks public last March, the government initiated a 2-week consultative process. But since then, there have been calls for the process to be extended. The Vice President said the government is ready to move the process forward.
It's a 5 years issue. We have been at this over 5 years. We've had a debate on this, what needs to be adjusted. So I think it's just another one of those things where people call for more time, that they really don't want to put in the technical effort and their work.
Noting that the government has received quite a few comments from a large number of people, the Vice President said the administration will be moving the process forward. However, he said should the government receive additional recommendations, those recommendations will be considered as well.
But frankly speaking, if somebody sends in a comment as we're finalizing, we're not going to ignore it totally, and it makes sense, although the period has expired.
The main opposition, the Partnership for National Unity Alliance for Change, has called for the draft PSAs to be placed before the National Assembly for a thorough review by a parliamentary select committee. The opposition has argued that the consultative period was insufficient and it was virtually impossible to consult a wide cross-section of the Guyanese people in 2 weeks due to the country's size, geography, and limited infrastructure. It accused the government of developing a pattern of rushing documents and decisions. Under the proposed PSAs, operators in the deep water and shallow water offshore blocks, upon being issued their petroleum prospecting license and/or petroleum production license, would be required to submit their work programs and budgets for approval by a minister who holds responsibility for the petroleum sector. Additionally, in the model PSAs, the government proposed that the royalty on on all petroleum produced and sold by the contractor be increased from 2%, as embedded in the Stabroek Block PSA, to 10%. The balance of the crude oil and or natural gas will be shared equally, with the government receiving 50% and the contractor the remaining 50%. However, the actual royalty and profit received by the government will be dependent on the price of the crude oil. The Director of Public Prosecutions has recommended that the owner of the Little Learners Daycare facility be charged with manslaughter over the death of a young child at the daycare. The 7-month-old baby girl, Aurea Grace Andy, was rushed to the Georgetown Hospital on the 21st of March, hours after she was taken to the daycare facility by her mother. She was found unresponsive at the daycare center, and when she was rushed to the hospital, doctors pronounced her dead on arrival. A post-mortem examination later revealed that the child died as a result of hemorrhaging and suffocation. It remains unclear how exactly the child sustained the deadly injuries, but it is suspected that she might have gotten entangled in a sheet. The owner of the daycare center, Dennis Ben, was initially questioned by investigators just after the child's death, but was eventually released. Crime Chief Wendell Blanham confirmed this afternoon that the owner will face criminal charges. She's expected in court before the end of the week. The Ministry of Housing Central Housing and Planning Authority rolled out its 2023 house lot distribution drive today for persons who have been allocated house lots on the east coast of Demerara. As part of a major development push by the government, new housing areas are being developed in Lusignan and Good Hope. Over 1,500 house lots were listed to be distributed today at the Dream Realized event, which was hosted at the Otterchung Conference Center. Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, told the allottees that the East Coast will see the same type of rapid development that is currently taking place on the east bank of Demerara. She noted that the government has been working along with commercial banks to get them to offer better mortgage rates to encourage home building.
And that is that all of the schemes on the East Coast are leading in a direction towards the East Bank. And you will eventually be connecting to the Aubrey Barker Road link that will come all the way to the East Coast. So there is no one entry and exit to the East Coast any longer. We're developing a very complex network of highways and roads, and you will see a whole different community being developed.
Minister Rodriguez explained that for this year, the Central Housing and Planning Authority is looking to develop a total of 3,000 house lots along the east coast of Demerara corridor. She said in the past 3 years, CH&PA has allocated close to 6,000 house lots along the east coast of Demerara.
We have infrastructure work to the tune of $24.2 billion that is ongoing from 2020 to now. That's the amount of money that we have already invested into the East Coast.
Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell told the house lot recipients that his ministry will continue its efforts to clear the backlog of applications as hundreds of new applications are coming into the system.
But we are working to ensure that we are able to quickly develop the infrastructure for you to access. So we also have here today to help you in your planning, because while we allocate now, the infrastructure works follow. It allows us to be able to plan budgetary-wise what is required for infrastructure. So we ask you that you engage the banks while you may have some time yet. It is important that you start gathering information. You start working towards when you will be ready to build.
He encouraged persons who are still awaiting their allocations to begin saving towards the house lot when it is allocated. Crowell said the government will continue to invest in the infrastructural development to create new housing areas as the demand for housing remains. His statement was supported by the CEO of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Sharon Greaves, who explained that the house lots are not being sold for profit. He said it cost the government close to $4 million to develop a single house lot.
Traits management, structure, and cash Cashmere Rosé presents Sundress Soiree, champagne and cocktail event, Saturday, April 8th at Everest Cricket Ground. Contribution $8,000. This is a day into night event. Doors open from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. Free. Cocktail hour, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sundress Soiree. You know the vibes.
Get ready for the ultimate event as Mackenzie Alumni Association presents official Night of Elegance. Reunion and fundraiser. It's going down on Friday, 21st of April at the Edward Benjamin Conference Center, Linden, Guyana. Ticket donation $50. Dinner included. Come and enjoy the vibes from old school R&B and hip hop. It's the official Night of Elegance. Night of Elegance.
Let's tell you now that the Ghana Elections Commission this afternoon took a decision to appoint Anil Giddings as its Deputy Chief Elections Officer. The decision, however, did not gain the support of the opposition-nominated commissioners. Giddings currently serves as the Commission's Information Technology Manager. In registering his disapproval, long-standing Elections Commissioner Vincent Alexander explained that when the position was originally advertised more than 1 year ago, Ms. Melanie Marshall was the only candidate that met the requirements. However, she was not appointed. He said it was not until the position was re-advertised that Mr. Giddings submitted an application. But Mr. Alexander said even then, Mr. Giddings did not reach the 5-year requirement as laid out by the Elections Commission. He accused the Justice Retired Claudette Singh-led Commission of deliberately delaying the process of appointing a DCO so as to allow Mr. Giddings to acquire the required years of experience. Describing the actions of the Commission as contrived, Commissioner Alexander said even with a more than 1 year delay, Mr. Giddings does not have 5 years of experience in the management of national elections and election system. He said this is the third time in succession that GECOM has contrived to appoint a candidate who has not met the mandatory requirement with regards to experience. According to him, the current Chief Elections Officer, Vishnu Prasad, did not have to require experience when he was appointed. According to Alexander, such appointments will bring into question GECOM's fitness for purpose as an impartial electoral body. The Inter-American Development Bank Group has announced the appointment of Loreno Solorzano Salazar as the IDB's new representative in Guyana. Her appointment took effect on April 1, 2023. In a statement, the IDB said Salazar, who is a citizen of Ecuador, holds a master's degree in business administration from the IDE Business School and a degree in business engineering. She has led the bank's country office in Guyana in an interim capacity since October 2021 and has served as Chief of Operations in the country since September 2018. Salazar joined the IDB group in 2009 in the country department for Central America, Haiti, Mexico, Panama, and the Dominican Republic. Prior to her time in Guyana, she was the advisor to the country department's regional manager in the areas related to portfolio management. Before joining the IDB group, she worked on various export and investment promotion strategies in her home country and accumulated experience in business management and public-private partnerships.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor of the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Look who's in the mix now. The new Buster Soda Water. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 artificial flavors. 100% refreshing. Taste Buster Soda Water today. Buster Soda Water. Now available for only $120.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
Across the region tonight, an outbreak of acute gastroenteritis is occurring in Grenada, with over 300 cases reported in the last 3 weeks. This is according to Grenada's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sean Charles. During a post-cabinet briefing today, the CEO said the Ministry of Health confirmed Grenada is experiencing an outbreak of acute gastroenteritis characterized by the following symptoms: nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramps, and watery diarrhea. Some individuals are also experiencing fever and muscle pain. Dr. Charles said this increase in cases was noticed about 3 weeks ago, and in the last 3 weeks, a total of 345 cases were reported. This is compared to 70 cases that occurred during the same period in 2022. The CEO said all age groups are affected, but most cases are being seen in the 1 to 4 years age group and 25 to 44 years age group. There is no significant difference in cases between males and females. The United States Customs and Border Protection Agency says law enforcement agencies have intercepted a vessel in the Caribbean Sea transporting 3,051 pounds of cocaine, arresting 3 non-citizens from Venezuela. The CPB said the arrests and seizures took place near Palmas de Mar off Puerto Rico's eastern coast, and that the estimated value of the contraband is approximately US $32 million. It said the authorities had located a lights-out vessel traversing at high speed, and with assistance from a US Coast Guard aircraft, located the vessel 10 miles off the coast of Puerto Rico. And finally, tonight, international news. Donald Trump, the former president and frontrunner for the 2024 Republican nomination, pleaded not guilty in a history-making moment for the United States today to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records after an investigation into hush money paid to a porn star. Trump, the first sitting or former U.S. president to face criminal charges, sat with his hands folded at the defense table as he entered his plea, flanked by his lawyers. Not guilty, Trump, 76, said when asked how he pleaded. He said nothing as he entered the courtroom or when he left roughly an hour later. Trump previously called the charges politically motivated. Taken together, the charges carry a maximum sentence of more than 100 years in prison under the New York law, but an actual prison sentence, if he's convicted at a trial, would almost certainly be far less than that. While falsifying business records in New York on its own is a misdemeanor punishable by no more than 1 year in prison. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.